Aloha members, I would like to call to order the February 8th, 2023 meeting of the South Maui Community Plan Advisory Committee. My name is Daniel Kanaeli. I am Vice Chair of the committee, and I will be sitting in for our chair, Rob Weltman, who is excused today. So I hope you all bear with me, as it's been a while. Well, it's never happened before, put it that way. Just know it's never been a while. Can we have roll call, please?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, we know Vice Chair Kanahele is present. Tova Callender. Okay. Everett Dowling. Okay. Lehua Huddleston Hafuka. Vernon Kalenika. Here. Okay. Randall Beach.
Here.
Mike Moran. Okay. Cody Nemeth. Wayne Nishiki.
Here.
Kyoki Feltzer.
Present.
Jennifer Sullivan. And Brian Ward.
Here.
Okay. As you folks know, I think you've been seeing the agenda for next week, and the pace is a little different going forward. And if that's going to be the case, then this process may have to be extended. The agenda, the draft schedule that we had sent out at the end of January had this process going until the end of May, which would be a 1-month extension. If the process has to be extended further, we would have to ask for more than a 1-month extension. I want to make sure the group is aware that we can request an extension, but whether or not the county council grants an extension, we have no say in that. So you might want to be mindful of trying to keep to the schedule to the extent we can. I do think, like a 1-month extension is reasonable, but if it does get too long, it might be a little difficult to request for that. So I guess what the department is really advocating for is if we can try to keep to the schedule to the extent possible. And I know, some of you folks have plans and things that you would like to get to, so it's going to be all of us that has to cooperate and participate and keep things moving if that's what the direction of the committee. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to introduce myself again. I saw you at your first meeting, but I haven't been back since. I'm Keola Whitaker, Deputy Corporation Counsel. When issues have come up, I've been conveniently out of town, so my colleague Mike Hopper has come to speak with you. But I'm not here for any specific purpose today. I'm just here to, respond to questions, and if it's not agendized, I can answer your questions one-on-one.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank all the members for being here today. And I think we have a quorum. The only one's missing is our chair. I'd like to thank Jackie Takakura, the head of the Long Range Division, for being the Department of Planning, for being here, and all the staffers who set up and break down and make our life as comfortable as we can possibly make it. And I'd also like to thank all of the members of the public who are here also. Just one housekeeping note for the restrooms, which are to the right outside the door. They've changed the bathroom code. It's in Roman numerals right there on that plaque. So hopefully you remember your Latin. Just kidding. I think the men's restroom is open. It's not locked, but I think the women's restroom is locked. Okay. So right now we would like to, which has become our tradition, to have introductions from our CPAC members. And I believe Wayne Nishiki is going to be our CPAC member, or is going to share what he would like to share with us, with his fellow members of the CPAC. So go ahead, Wayne, take it away.
Good evening. I first would like to say a little prayer on behalf of Cherry Tumaran, our firefighter who passed 3 or 4 days ago. Like myself, I do have 2 sons that are firefighters, one in Lanai, one in Paia. Resident of Maui for 65 years. Came over here as a hippie. Worked for Save Our Surf. Was instrumental in saving the current surfite and Keokinos at Malaya, suicides. First of all, I'd like to give you a brief example of what my life has been on Maui. Served on the county council for 21 years. Of course, Maui has changed a lot. I looked and I pinned my name on the last KACAC plan. What I've seen happen to Maui because of global warming and sea level rise, a lot of things have changed. First of all, I'd like to give my respects to kupuna that I have come in contact with. Uncle Harry Mitchell, the late George Hill. Uncle Harry Mitchell has passed. His son, Kimo Mitchell, that got lost in the ocean off of Kaho'olawe. Pui Luai, an old McKenna family. Auntie Helen Peters from McKenna. Eddie Chang from Kahakaloa. And those are the kupuna that I have learned from. Of course, George Helm died for us and gave his life. He practiced aloha aina. And George said during many of his speeches, if you want who controls the water, this is very important. George and Kimo Mitchell got lost at sea while trying to preserve Kaho'olawe. Thank God the military decided to give us this important island back to us. When I looked at the plan and I noticed Daniel Kanahele wanted to move to 2.5 white kupuna and historic properties. And I was reading that on the old key community plan. I saw a lot of the history missing. And thank God for, if you read Lucy Ann the Day that is here tonight, she has given us a lot more to think about of our culture. Of course, I see the Leohualani Hafoka. I was the first to rent her grandmother and grandfather Frank Aquina's house in Key when I first arrived here in Key. I see many of the people that I consider to be sincere members of this committee, namely Cody Nemeth, Kioki Phelpson, and Daniel Kanahele. Of course, Daniel will not tell you about how I remember Daniel. He was a frontier, he shakes his head. And he went to fight against the oil line that Canada wanted to bring down to the United States of America. And thank you, Daniel, for standing up for your native people.
Wayne, I hate to interrupt you while you're talking about me, but can you conclude in a minute, please?
Of course, my life is checkered. That's why I'll stop. Thank you.
Mahalo, Member Wayne Nishiki. Thank you for that, sharing those important names in the history of this land. Has everyone had an opportunity to share? Did we miss anybody? Okay, so I think we've completed that. All right, great. Members, before we proceed to public testimony, I would like to invite you to turn to page 29 of the plan. And what I'm going to do is just read with you the South Maui vision. I think it's important to review the vision of this plan periodically, because the vision statement is a governing statement. It tells us what the preferred future we hope to attain through this draft plan. So as I read this out loud with you, please try to envision in your mind the potential for this future, preferred future, to be realized. South Maui's vision. South Maui's beaches, coastal waters, and wetlands are restored and thriving, with affordable housing close to good jobs and a variety of transportation options, including safe walking and biking paths lined with trees. The region's businesses, parks, and neighborhoods are connected, maintaining the small town lifestyle. Cultural resources are protected and celebrated, enhancing South Maui's sense of place. So tonight we're going to review that part of the plan that has to do with cultural resources that enhance our sense of place in this district. So having read that with you, we can proceed with public testimony. Is there anyone here who would like to offer public testimony? You're allowed to offer public testimony when each agenda item comes up or at the beginning of the meeting. And tonight we only have one agenda item. So now would be the time to offer testimony. Give you 3 minutes for your testimony, and we'll time it, and then we'll let you know when it's time to conclude. Thank you.
Right in front of the camera.
Do I get to stand in the middle and?
If you want.
No.
You
can move up a little bit.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Or to the side.
Well, good evening, and thank you for your time and your participation and your commitment to the community of Maui. And as a visitor here and a property owner, we've got an issue that I think is important to Maui and to the beaches and to the resort that we reside at. And we also would like to thank the first responders who have been active in protecting the community, and we recognize and regret the loss of the young man who passed away, Edmonds Moran, or Dumoran. Yeah, that was very tragic. But we're here tonight because as property owners, we've noticed that the gulch right in front of the Kihei Beach Resort, right next to Wayne's shop, is continuing to be flooding. It's flooded in 3 times in the last 15 months. And the property damage that's resulting from that, the environmental hazards that it's creating, and also the danger of public safety has become a real concern and issue for us as residents of the Maui Kihei Beach Resort. And we want to at least make you aware of it. And I don't know if there's anything that this body can do, or maybe you can direct this to another body who might be able to help us resolve or get some resolution of this problem with the Maui County, because the design of that bridge was to accommodate a small amount of water, and the amount of flooding that's coming from uplands is over 20 times what that bridge can accommodate. And each time the water comes down there, it floods out Wayne's store, it floods out the ABC store, it floods out the Kihei Beach condo, floods out the Maui condo, Maui surf right next door, and at least at our resort, every time it's been $1 million in damage that has occurred to the property. And so, as property owners and community members, we share our concerns with you guys and hope that you can pass that along to the appropriate people, and perhaps give us a direction that we can go to work with the community members to find a resolution for this flooding that's creating an environmental hazard, public safety hazard, and property damage hazard. That's really all I've got. Unless you have some questions, I'd be happy to answer those. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. I wasn't going to stop you because you took the time and effort to come out and testify on something that's important to you, but that's not actually agendized in our meeting tonight.
Right.
We're talking about ancestral places like Ikupuna, and we're talking about historic properties and not drainage or stormwater or flooding. So it's important for us because that's what we're talking. That's on the agenda for us to hear testimony that relates to that specifically. Just to ask you, do you know how to look up our agenda online so you know what we'll be covering?
I just got it while I was sitting here, so I've just been able to plug into it, and so I'm just now getting up to speed on that. Yes, and thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to present our concern on this.
Yeah.
Even though it's not part of your agenda item, thanks for tolerating me.
And that's why I'm not going to ask for members to ask clarifying questions, because it's not related to our agenda tonight. But again, I appreciate the public coming out, taking the time and driving up here and wanting to share something that is important to us. So we heard your testimony and we'll take it to our... Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could we get the testifier's name?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, my name is Mike Ellerding at Kihei Beach Resort, number 207. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. I'm
Thank you.
basically going to leave it up to testifiers whether they want to share their names or not with us. So they can if they want to, but they don't have to. But he wanted to, so thanks for the question, Mike. Okay, do we have anyone else who would like to give public testimony at this time?
Okay, where's the mark to stand up?
Right over there.
That gold right there. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna pass these out. and you pass them that way and to the members, and I'll give one to the planning department afterwards. This testimony is very similar to what you probably received from Lucienne, Dene, and we just started a working group through Maui tomorrow for the CPAC, for the community plan review. And so there's some specifics on here. I'm not going to go through all that, but other people I would have liked to have had in the group are all sitting around this table. So we've got some really great members of the CPAC, but I'm just going to go over the first part of this because I think it's important that elements of the current Kihei McKenna Community Plan, which keep coming up, were left out of Section 2.5 of the draft plan that you're looking at now. And we, as a group, have recommended that many of these key elements be put back into the plan and the language that strengthens it as well. We incorporated into our discussion Daniel Canahelli's recommendations, and we thought those were all sound and well thought out, so thank you for looking at it and putting in your proposed changes ahead of time so the public could see, Daniel. And we recommended further strengthening of the language of the policies as noted below. All of the parts in red are the edits. Providing more specific actions to ensure implementation and revisiting the existing Kihei McKenna Community Plan for reference. In addition, the action items section could reference the upcoming Department of OEB resources, which passed in the last charter amendment, the last election. So we will have that department that could address many of these concerns and actions that we're proposing. And I wanted to also share with you, one of the things that we talked about was, and I've mentioned this in the Hawaii Community Foundation is doing workshops around the state as part of their change theory project. I was in one on the environment, and one of the things that comes up a lot is enforcement and accountability. And so I mentioned the fact that we have these great community efforts to revise our plan. We have all these people and groups involved in approving the plan, and then when we're done, everybody disbands and nobody reviews this on an ongoing basis. So one of our recommendations is to possibly either use this body or the South Maui Advisory Committee to do quarterly reviews of the implementation actions and the policies to see if they're being followed beyond the end of this, that once the plan gets accepted. Because, you know, it's just everyone's tired of seeing these plans get accepted after all your hard work and then having them sit on a shelf. So there needs to be some accountability going forward, and everybody at the Community Foundation agree with that as well. We wanted to make sure that every policy is addressed by one or more implementation actions, and some of the implementation actions can actually address more than one policy, but there should be connection to, because the policy shouldn't exist in a vacuum. There needs to be some action that's going to enforce that policy. So that, and one of the recommendations we're making too is on your spreadsheet of when you list the different policies and there's columns, that there should be a column for which, if they're implementation items, which policies they address. So I know I only have 3 minutes, but I wanted to just address what was said earlier about extensions, because I've sat on the council and I've never seen a council deny an extension. In fact, the council has had its own extensions many times in these community plans. So it's more important to do it right than to do it quickly. And I hope you guys are putting a lot of thought into this. One of the reasons we started this community group is because, you know, we don't see a lot of community here. And so, and more people want to be involved, and because there's no virtual option, it's really hard for a lot of people to be involved. So, okay, that's it. I'll stop. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Kelly, for your testimony. Are there any clarifying questions for the testifier? Go ahead.
Malcolm Center, Lauria again. Thank you again for coming and testifying. When you talk about like a quarterly meeting to review and stuff, would that have to go through obviously council, mayor, both? Or?
Well, the setting up that system would have to be, because we don't have that. I mean, it could be done by ordinance. It doesn't have to wait for a charter amendment. So you could actually request an ordinance that describes one of the duties of the community, the what we're called SMAC, the South Maui Advisory Committee, to be quarterly reviews of the community plan to discuss implementation items, how are they going, the policies, are the policies being adhered to, and I think this would help the planning department because the planning department is required to do a review, an annual review of all the implementation items. When I got on the council in my first term 6 years ago, there had been no review. And so we started pushing for that to, so that we could find out what's happening once these plans, get completed. So it's a way of keeping the priorities, up front. But I would do it I would request through ordinance. And the ordinances can come from the administration, can come from you folks through your council member who's here. Thanks, Tom, for being here. And be proposed to the council that way. But it doesn't have to just be South Maui, it could be all the community advisory committees.
I think that's a good idea. I would personally be all for that, so thank you for that.
Sure.
Anyone else wish to ask clarifying questions for our testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, let's call up our next testifier. Oh, by the way, I would like to recognize our council member, Tom Cook. Did not see him sitting there, so thank you for being here. Any other testifiers? I see one. I'll
Stand on the gold square.
give you, you have 3 minutes to give your testimony.
Just
1 moment.
okay.
Oh, that's for everybody to have.
That's for everyone. That's the printed. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
see we have some handouts. We have plenty of handouts today.
Well, it is quite a large area.
Do you want to wait to testify? You want to wait till we get the handout before you testify?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you have enough?
Too short.
You're too short. How many of you are there?
There's 13 of us. There are 12 here today, though.
Maybe like, I really think.
You want to run to Kinko's and come back?
Just one, right?
Just one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, Marlon.
Thank you. So what do you surprise
Okay. Claire, can you step forward just a little bit so that the camera can... A little bit more. Just a tiny... Okay, perfect. That's good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire Hapana, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. Today I'd like to start by saying that I am the head of the Malamaka Kanilua 501c3, and in the endeavors that we have, one of the greatest things we do is advocate for iwi kupuna. And today, I would like to talk about one of the projects that we have that involves quite an iconic part of South Maui, and that is the Grand Wailea Resort and Hotel. And the reason I'm speaking about this is, as you can see in your handout, is there have been hundreds and hundreds of burials disturbed and plowed under, moved, taken to Wailuku, taken to Paia, taken to down into McKenna deeper. But we don't know where our kupuna went to. We do know that the hotel would like to keep building on top of these grounds. We disagree with them that once you move some EV out, the place is now okay to build on. No. And we went to do this contested case and we found so much information that should have been visible clearly to this community. And we found that in the notes of the archaeologists, there were many, many hundreds of burials that are still on that property that are not documented, but they are in the notes of the archaeologists. And so there are so many environmental violations that have come through this hotel and the way that it has been run. It is the largest water user in Maui. So I would like to focus though on the burials, and I'd like to do something very simple. We went in April of 2022 to the Burial Council to get their recommendation and to see what they thought about all the burials that had not been documented, about the burial preserves that have been established but are not being protected, and about the fact that we can't seem, as Kanaka and as descendants, to be able to say and protect our own kupuna as they try to build swimming pools, new wings
Claire,
upon them.
can you conclude your
Yes.
testimony, please?
I will, thank you. So I would like to ask you to, you see the first page there, those are the motions that the Burial Council made. And I would like to have an action item that these be included in the South Maui Community Plan, so that we will never have to go through this once again to show that there are very important cultural resources there at the Grand Wailea. And I'm going to let you read them. I have so much more information, and if you would like more, I can give you that.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Are there any clarifying questions? Vernon?
Hey, Auntie Claire, how's it?
Hi, Vernon.
So this map that you presented to us, is that the same map that you presented
Yes,
at Burial Council?
yes.
Because my area is Honolulu on the Burial Council, so that's my district.
Mhm,
So I did a site visit
mhm.
with the project guys and the ownership. And so just that, you know, that the map that was presented at the Burial Council wasn't an updated map, because they did reduce the size of the extension. That's one thing. And then the other thing, question is for corporate counsel. So you guys still in litigation? Sorry, Claire, Auntie Claire. But this will pertain to you, you know. So are you guys still in litigation, Claire, with
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
We're not in litigation. We are interveners, bringing forth more information to the Planning Commission. And I want to say about that map was made by the Grand Wailea Resort. We just used their map. So just to let you know that, and it was what they presented that we used. Yeah.
So Lucianne did the presentation and Lucianne used their map?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, making actions, I like follow up on this personally for me, because that was the last time we seen you guys in Borough Council. And then part of the request was we do site visit, you know, as Borough Council members and shifting.
Yes.
So I don't like make any decision yet, because I want to make sure that, you know, I fact check this. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Vernon. Our contention is there have been numerous findings and desecrations of our ibi kupuna there. We have been having the Grand Wailea at the Burial Council since 1991, when 340 ibi kupuna minimum number were waiting to be buried in the first preserve. There is no question for us that this is a burial ground, and the many, many more burials that have gone undocumented. It's not about the absolute number. It's the fact that this is a burial ground, and there should not be any more infrastructure. It was wrong to do it in the first place. We don't compound that mistake by continuing to build upon our sacred spaces and our kupuna.
Claire, I'd like to see if there are any more members who would like to ask clarifying those questions. Cody and then Kyoki.
Malanti. As a kupuna yourself, would you maybe give your interpretation of what a vahi kupuna is?
Oh, this is the first time I have heard that. And when I think of that, I think of this a sacred place that our kupuna have been. And for me, the Aina is still alive with the with our kupuna's ike. So I don't know exactly the words, what it means in the actual translation, because I'm not a native speaker. But that is what I would interpret it as, and I definitely feel our ibi kupuna would fall right into the vahi kupuna, because anywhere they are is sacred to them. And thank you. Mahalo.
Over here, I'm Auntie Claire, mahalo nui, right over here, for jiving, taking the time to come. I know the sound is reverberating on the room. This is more a comment. I mean, I remember visiting this beach as a child before the Four Seasons. It was a beautiful place. It's sad that my kiki will never know what it's like to be there before the development. But my comment is, it's like we didn't learn from Pu'ukeka'a, from Kapalua, all these developments. I mean, my comment is, when is it gonna stop? But thank you for your work. Thank you for coming tonight. Mahalo.
Mahalo to you.
Anyone else wish to ask a clarifying question? Seeing none, thank you so much, Claire, for being here. Mahalo.
Thank you very much.
Can we call the next testifier, please?
Right here with the gold.
Hello, Cheryl Hota is my name. I spent a couple rest of the night, last night, reading over the draft of the South Maui Community Plan, and it talks about responsible stewardship of Wahi kupuna and historical properties. And in going through this 160-page plan, I got a little concerned because there were areas that had no priority indication, high, low, it was blank. And it had to do with places that has to do with our culture. Can we use this right here? Our historical sites. For instance, 2.11, Action 2.11, partner with federal and state agency, private land owners, etc. You know, that priority was like blank. Why isn't it high? Timing, short. Why isn't it ongoing? There are like 10 items I came across that really disturbed me. Let me see. 4.10, continue to fund a dune management coordinator position. No priority, ongoing. Before that, develop and implement a comprehensive dune restoration plan. Priority, ongoing, timing, mid, cost, TBD. I mean, these are all of our historical sites that we're talking about here, right? Historic properties that you're talking about, protecting, but they're not even a priority on your plan. So that's really alarming to me that you're not making it a priority. And then lastly, since we only got 3 minutes here, 5.06, partner with state agencies such as the LNR, County Department of Parks, Recreation, blah, 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 to develop and implement a plan to more effectively address the impacts of tourism overcrowding. No priority. This should be the highest priority. And it should be ongoing. And the cost, not TBD. I'm sorry, is that my time up? Thank you. Any questions?
Hang on, Cheryl. Hi, how are you?
Great.
So just so you know, things like priorities, we're going to do that later on in the plan review. We're not doing that at this stage. That's why some of those things are blank, timing, priority. That's going to be discussed later on when we go back and review what is high, what is medium, what is low. So those questions are going to be decided later on.
Okay.
But hang on, I think we might have some clarifying questions for you. Yoki and then Cody.
Hello, sir. Again, mahalo for coming, driving, taking your time, sharing your manao. My thoughts were what Daniel was saying. So our primary goal of this whole committee is to review and review this draft plan and revise. So my suggestion would be, again, keep up with the agendas on the online website so that when these items come up, you can come back and again speak and share your manao. Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, Julie. So I would like to ask you the same question as Auntie Claire. When you hear the word vahikupuna as a kanakawivi yourself, what comes to mind when you hear this word, vahikupuna?
I hear my kupuna telling me to protect, preserve, respect, honor. That's what I feel in here.
Any other questions? Wayne?
Thank you for coming tonight. You know, the particulars of this Aina, which all of us live in Maui right now, the Hawaiian culture, everything's tamtam. I don't care what people are telling you tonight. Because you do not see this as a priority, and I respect the Hawaiian culture so much that I sit here tonight in total disgust to think that us as a westernized civilization can stomp on Native Hawaiians and have no respect for their culture. To me, it is one of the most beautiful culture. So from living here 79 years on this planet, Mr. Chairman, and I can see a repeat of, although Uncle Les is gone, a repeat of Hanakahau Valley, where Native people and their burials. It is good to understand this. Native Hawaiians are not dumb people. They always bury their people that died in the sand. They made use of the aina to farm. That's why you find the iwi kupuna in the sand.
Wayne, do you have a question for her?
I'll ask her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. To this date, has there any county agency that has helped you to investigate the concern that you have? Who, as a person, state legislature, county council member?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm done.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to testify? So we have another testifier.
No, gold circle.
Aloha, and good evening to all of you. Lucy and Dene. I did pass out a bunch of comments about this section. This is near and dear to my heart as a historical researcher in South Maui for many years, and author of one book about the history of the McKenna area. I'll just get to the point. There's a lot of good things in these policies, but I was concerned that there's some great policies that we currently have in our community plan that kind of got overlooked, and they're clear, they're simple, they've been used for years, nothing wrong with them, and so one section of my testimony, I think it's C, is like, there's some good language that maybe we should put in somewhere because it's strong and it gets to the point of what the section's about. The second thing is that we always have these wonderful, aspirations in our community plan, but after you've been around like 20, 30 years like me, you always ask the question, well, how do we make this happen? This is a great aspiration that we preserve our cultural sites, our Vahi Kupuna, resources, but how? And so I thought it might be helpful to you folks to actually list a group of cultural preserves that have actually been promised. They have not yet been actualized, but they have been promised over the last few years through approvals, zoning approvals, land use approvals, lawsuits, whatever. But they are perfectly legal and are things that should happen. But it would make sense to have some section in the community plan saying that we understand that these cultural preserves are going to be created, and just list what the actual parameters are from them, which are all in legal documents. And that way, when anyone looks at the the community plan, you kind of know what to expect in that area. It's not like, oh, I didn't know there was supposed to be a preserve there, no one told me about it. It's in a public document, it shows up on maps. I tried in the earlier process where people were weighing in to send some maps of some of the preserves I was aware of, but some are kind of obscure. But one preserve actually provides a space for a cultural center for Kulakai. Who knew, right? You had to be at that land use commission hearing and get exhibit 36. But it's out there, and it could be a wonderful thing for our future. It could never happen, maybe. But it's just better that we all know that it is something that could be. So that's my suggestion, that we incorporate some of those languages. Oh, that's a nice chime.
Thank you, Lucian. Let me ask if any member has clarifying questions for Lucian. Mike, and then Cody.
Lucian, could you be more specific at that location, that's a cultural center? It says at Honolulu.
Yeah.
Could you be more specific?
I can. So the Pi'ilani Promenade was proposed as a large outlet mall, but eventually it had to go back to its old designation as a light industrial park project. And as part of Maui Tomorrow intervened at the Land Use Commission because they said, hey, we don't think that this is actually what you approved. The Land Use Commission agreed. It went back and forth for a number of years. The compromise was, it just went back to where it was, but because the community had come out and spoken about the cultural importance of some areas of the land, a small area is about 4.4 acres. I think I said 3.5 there, but I was wrong, is set aside. And 1.5 acres of this is up at the kind of the top part of what would have been the Pi'ilani Promenade site, kind of more the Mauka and near the river, near the fence line, kind of the back corner there. So that would be the location, and supposedly the stubs for the utilities would be provided, but the community would need to come up with the money to create the center and to maintain the center.
Thank you.
Cody.
Hello, Auntie. Mark for coming. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. When you hear the word Wahikupuna, what comes to mind?
Well, places that are special, and they're special because they really are watched over by our ancestors. And they're not my ancestors, but, I think we all realize that we respect those who've gone before, whether we're personally related to them or not.
Vernon?
Yeah. How's it, Lucy? So I know the site you're talking about and the stipulation and agreement, you guys have to go through with that, but so I've been working on this museum for South Maui for some time and hooking up with old families. They have like some pictures, videos, that go back to 1930s. And I was looking at the old Kihei school, or Kenolio,
right?
That one big building,
right?
Or one of those buildings that possibly that could be a location
where it already exists. Right.
That already exists. So
I'm with you.
So that could be an option if it's on the work.
Yeah.
But kind of working on where we can highlight some of our history culturally and the not so culturally history kind of thing.
Well, good to know. Good to have the discussion.
Yeah.
Anyone else have clarifying questions for Lucian? Wayne.
Lucian, I'm sick and tired of hearing people give excuses of why they're doing. I watched the Native Hawaiians on the waiting list for DHHL die, and who knows what will happen to our Native people. I watch when I see Haleakala desecrated. To your knowledge, is Haleakala part of the Aho Pua that stretches down to Kie?
Yeah, it is. There's a certain ridge that most of the ahupua'as go up and join there. I know Papaʻanui does, and several of the ahupua'a in Honuaula. I'm not sure about the Kula one. I'd have to look at my map, but you guys probably have those maps. Yeah, but that not all of the ahupua'as go all the way up, as you can see from the maps.
Thank you, Lucien.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lucien. Can we call up the next testifier, please? This last call for public testimony. Uno, dos, tres. Okay, so if there are no objections, members, I'd like to close public testimony.
I have a question, please. In regards to testifiers, can they submit testimony via in writing and then come and testify with additional information? Is that, yeah? So
Yes.
I would like to recommend that to everybody, is that to do that, take advantage of that, so that we can get more information, because their information is so valuable. So I just thought to at least ask that and encourage all the testifiers to put something in writing and then come and expound on it in person. So that's just my manao.
Good manao. So seeing no objections, testimony is now closed on this agenda item. So I would also like to make a comment on public testimony. First of all, appreciate all those, and piggyback on what you just said, Leila. We appreciate all those who come out and give their oral testimony. And we appreciate that you brought in your written testimony with you. But what we would even appreciate more if you could get that to the Long Range Planning Division earlier so that we can review it before the meeting, because it just is so helpful when we are able to read these things ahead of time and sort of see how it would work with the draft plan. So I would just encourage you to please send in your testimony as soon as you can, your written testimony, because it would really help us all out. Okay, having said that, I think, members, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. I think this would be a good opportunity for us to do whatever we do on breaks, but also, give you some time to maybe review what we received, because I know we haven't had the chance to review it, get something to eat. And if any of you have questions for our Deputy Corp Counsel, who just happens to be here tonight to help us out in our meeting, or if you need to sidebar with him on anything, during the break is a great time. So, yes, Cody.
I just had a question, but who came up with the term Vahikupuna for the plan? I mean,
Can we answer that after break? That's a good segue. So I want to take a little longer break than usual to give some of us time to kind of look through all this. So we'll take a 15-minute break, and we'll re-adjourn at 6:45. 6:45. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That means
Yeah, you that's needed.
The South Maui Community Plan Advisory Committee meeting of January 8, 2023 is now reconvened. It's 6:45 p.m. What day? February. Did I say another month? I didn't mention the month. But anyway, it's February. Okay, so Cody did have a question just before you left. I think the question was, who came up with the term wahi kupuna?
Right here.
Oh, okay. Vernon, you go ahead.
Find him so we can hear the answer.
Yeah,
Oh, wait for Cody. We're answering your question right now. The chair recognizes Vernon Kalinika.
Check, yeah. So to Cody's question, wahi kupuna, so when we started the hui from Cape Blystone, when this all started, the kahea went out to the community who like get involved if they can, if they have time. And it started from day one. So we had the Alaka'i group that was created with Pam, Kate, and others. So in that Alaka'i group, we went through the cultural part, you know, and what we're talking about tonight. So we even went there like wahi pana, wahi kapu, and then wahi kupuna came later. Through time, you know, how many months we was involved with this community plan, the draft, and what we're talking about. So wahi kupuna, it was interpreted. So who was involved in that Alaka'i group was generational families, even from Wailuku, Makena, and this side of South Maui. So how we got to kupuna is our feelings, our thoughts was kupuna involved the pohaku, the mauna, our ohana in the moana. Everything was created, even from our loved ones in the past, up until now. Our kupuna was involved. We could have used wahi pana, we could have used wahi kapu, but we felt in our hui, in the Alaka'i group, before CPAC started, that's what we was comfortable with, the wahi kupuna, meaning it celebrated not only the human, but it also celebrated everything that our human in the past that was involved with the natural resources, practices, and protocols, and whatever not that might be included culturally appropriate. That's what I thought I'd share. But, like the sign project, you can change them and move the sign too now. Yeah.
Thank you, Vernon. Cody?
So yeah, mahalo Vernon. So that was kind of like the reason why I was asking everybody too what wahi kupuna meant to them, and then also for everybody here to kind of think of that as well. What wahi kupuna mean to me? A lot of times when we hear that word kupuna, we automatically think of like maybe an elderly person or something, maybe something in the past, right? The cool thing about learning Olelo Hawaii is you're always often told by the teacher to break all your words down and understand what those words are. And I really like wahi kupuna, you know, but there's also a kaulike to it. There's a balance to it, yeah? So it's not always something to look at as like history, or something in the past, or like a museum piece, but the word vahi, it means place. The word ku, it means to stand, or it means some sort of direct action. And the word puna represents a punawai, or a source of water, yeah? So when you're thinking about a kupuna, so the late Akonya Kana, he would talk about a kupuna being a source of education, or a source of life. Someone that would always spread this knowledge, yeah? Something that isn't in the past, not necessarily a person, but something that is continuous. Growth is always continuous. So when I think of Vaikupuna, I would hate to look at these areas as sacred, no touch, no go by. Also for Kanaka to feel it in their place, to be a part of these areas. And the one thing that, prior to the 1800s, our wetlands and our shorelines were managed by people, by Kanaka. And, there's a lot of this thing about like, bird sanctuary, no people allowed, but I think the one thing that we have to think about as well when you think of like Vaikupuna is that people were managing these things, yeah? They were in constant connection to how the water was flowing, how it was moving. If something was off balance, they would know how to fix it, so it's constantly being involved, basically, instead of just kind of being like, leave it alone. So when I think of Vaikupuna, I think of that kaulike, that first kaulike, where it's like, okay, this is an ancient place. This place has a lot of mana to the Kanaka Iwi who are connected genealogically, who have blood ties to this area, but also the other side where it's like, there's growth, there's education that we can learn, there's cultural, the young Hawaiians right now, they're growing and they're learning how to be who they are. They're learning how to weave, they're learning how to use their la'au, they're learning how to do traditional cultural practices. And they're gonna need platforms, in the future. So when I hear Vaikupuna, that's what I think about, it's like this balance, so.
Okay, with that, that'll be a good introduction into our next agenda item, which is agenda item B, review recommendations, draft South Maui Community Plan, review recommendations, draft South Maui Plan, goal 2.5, responsible stewardship of Vaikupuna and historic property. Oh, that's the agenda. It's up there. Okay, so members, I know when we go through these sections, sometimes there's a lot of input that we get, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, but my understanding is that this is like a first pass at these policies and actions, and that we'll have another pass to adjust or change things. So it's not the first time. It doesn't have to be like perfect, because we're not perfect. So all we can do is the best we can. Yeah, do your best. Cub Scout model. Okay, so let's begin with this page here. And we're using the planning department's, I think, draft plan, right? That's what we're looking at. So, just for the first part, are there any changes that anyone wishes to make to this first, what's up here? Cody?
Maybe to add where Kupuna lived and worked for generations, and where Kanaka continued to work and live, like Lokoi'a, Lo'i, complexes of Hale.
Second. Cody, is your language there?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to put that in?
I'll make a motion to amend.
Everett seconds that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none. Are there any objections to including it? No objections. Okay. Anything else on this page?
Mr. Chair,
Wayne.
if Cody said that why kupuna is not proper, I would not want to use the word in this statement, especially because if it is offensive to the Native Hawaiians, I'd like some clarification on this.
Which word is that, Wayne?
Why kupuna?
You mean vahi kupuna?
Yes.
Cody, are you okay with that term? Because we talked about what it meant.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with it. I think what I meant, Uncle, is that the word Wahikupuna can be looked at in a couple different ways. One way is looking at it historically, and then the other way is looking at it into the future. So I just wanted to amend it to make sure that we got that kaulike involved to know that Wahikupuna isn't just about looking at history, but it's about looking at where Kanaka are trying to go into the future. Mahalo.
Okay. I did have one proposal in the second paragraph where it says it is important, second paragraph, right in the middle of it, it says it is important to steward these resources because they create a physical link to our past, and then comma, the language that I'm recommending, a bridge to the future, and everything is the same. So as chair, I can't make a motion to so.
It would be a friendly amendment.
No, I think it would be separate at this point.
I move that we insert a bridge to the future.
All right, someone has to make that motion. Oh, sorry.
So we didn't do the first motion?
Yes, we did.
We didn't vote.
We
It's
voted.
unanimous consent.
Yeah, it was by consensus.
I missed that.
Sit closer.
I missed that.
Okay, motion made by Everett, seconded by Mike Moran. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Any objections to including a bridge to the future? Okay, we'll include that language. Okay, let's see, anything in this section? Okay, let's go to the policies. The first policy, 2.5.1, so we have the new draft language up there, which reads, ensure new development projects provide continued access to Kuleana lands, as well as continued access for cultural practices, including fishing, hunting, and gathering, protected under Section 7-1 Hawaii revised statutes to areas both Mauka and Makai. Any discussion on this policy?
Move to accept.
Okay, Everett, your motion to accept the policy as it's written. Is there a second? Okay, Randall seconded. Tova?
Just wanting to note that from Maui Tomorrow, we have additional language that strengthens things a little bit for this. So perhaps in this moment of discussion, we can just take a look and see whether or not the suggestions here are considered.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor right now to adopt the policy as it's written on the screen. And there's been a second and a second. And Tova, are you proposing any changes to that, to the language?
I'm proposing in discussion
That we consider the stronger language included in 2.5.1 for Maui Tomorrow. So,
And the Maui Tomorrow Foundation plan?
yes,
Okay.
that might be derailing things to have that as a discussion topic, I'm not sure. So if that's that protocol.
We'll take 20 seconds, 15 seconds just to read it, and then, so I haven't read it. Okay, I read it. Lehua.
So, I have a comment about this. So the testifiers are written, verbal, but I'm looking at the written ones. Seems like everybody has a suggestion for the 2.51. And so, I mean, how do we look at it and try to incorporate it? I mean, even I have one. Dan, I think you,
I have one.
You had one, and two other people, like, so how do we do this? Because I don't want to just ignore it, but it's a lot to read. So
Well,
like, how do we do this?
Well, for example, my suggestion blends with this one, the Maui Tomorrow one. So, yeah, so.
And then, so may I ask a question? Because it also seems to blend with what Lucianne had said. So I think hers and Kelly King's one, and I could be wrong, but just from my quick reading, they're almost exactly the same. So with that said, that's why it makes it a little bit confusing that I read the same thing, which is maybe easy to say, oh, that's the same thing from the other one. I just want to make sure that we are definitely looking what the testifiers have presented, if we feel that it should be inputted. And then if yours is similar to what the others have said, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And I don't know if it's exactly the same, but.
It's close enough for me.
Yeah, so close enough, so, like, for real though, this is hard, and I don't like take any longer than we have to, but I cannot see how we can proceed and not take into consideration, and this is just the first one.
Yeah, so anyway, we do have a motion, there is a second. The motion is to either adopt this as it is written, or amend it, or not adopt it and propose something else.
Okay.
So it's up to your body to decide what they want to do.
But I just wanted to at least make it verbal,
Oh, yeah.
that there's all these things to consider
Yes.
just for the first one.
Right.
I mean, it would be easy to say, nah, never mind, we just move forward and, but I don't think I can. There's a lot to add. Like mine is just adding the word ensure current and new to it.
Okay.
Mine's small, simple, not saying mine is right, but get the other ones to consider. So with what you said, I mean, I don't know if vote to accept it, I would be no. So I don't know what procedure, but
Well, I think the cleaner way would be to either amend it or not adopt it by a vote and then suggest something else. If there's going to be a lot of changes, I would vote this up and down and perhaps make another motion. So it's up to the body. Yes, Wayne?
Corporation Council. Mr. Kanahele says there's not too much difference. Is there a difference? Is there any?
I don't have Mr. Kanahele's proposal in front of me, but I can take a look at the two. But if he says there's no difference in effect, then, they look fairly similar to me. If I could just talk about procedure, so the chair's indicated that you can make amendments now. So if you want to do the Maui Tomorrow proposal or Mr. Kanahele's proposal, that would be an appropriate amendment.
Okay. Thank you for that. Does anyone want to amend the,
I'd like to do a friendly amendment to scratch that and adopt Maui Tomorrow Foundation's proposal for 2.5.1.
that's a friendly amendment, so it's Everett, is that okay with you?
It's okay.
Okay. And whoever seconded? Randall, okay, that's cool with you? Okay, so pretty much going with Maui Tomorrow proposed amendments, is that correct, Tova? Yeah. Sorry, Brian.
Yes. We're interchangeable, obviously.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion?
Right here.
Hi. Yes, go ahead.
As you hear this discussion, Leboa, is there anything from yours that can be added to that or tweaked? No? You could?
mine was just easy, but
Okay.
the Maui Tomorrow, Kelly King's one, so I'm not calling it Kelly King's, I'm calling it Maui Tomorrow then. She represents Maui Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna strike her name from my notes. So Maui Tomorrow is the same one as Lucienne submitted, same wording. So they're the same, and I think Daniel's is the same. Close enough, so, but the other two seem to be exactly the same.
The thing that stands out to me is just in the very beginning of yours, ensure current and new.
Yes, that's what I had mentioned, mine was just small kind.
So if we go with Maui Tomorrow, require current and new projects, or no? You're good?
Oh, I'm fine with that, but I am so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we have two testimonies from two different people.
I get three.
Saying the exact same thing, so which is cool, they're all on the same page.
Good.
But you're gonna take one over the other.
Yeah.
So again, Kelly King is a testifier for Maui Tomorrow, not an independent.
Correct.
Then we have Lucienne, who's independent. Yeah, and then Daniel's one. So when we're looking at these things people are giving us, I mean, do we pick and choose who? Because these two seem almost the same. So I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused.
Yeah.
It's a good confusion.
I'm just trying to take the elements of all of them and kind of,
Yeah. Well, they're all pretty much exactly the same. Only mine, one word.
Yeah, a couple, just in them.
Yeah, just the kind.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I would take the big one and do them. I'm okay with that.
So I had a chance to review the two. The main difference between Mr. Kanahele's and the Maui Tomorrow is the require projects versus ensure new development projects. I think development projects is a defined term, or definitely a term of art because it's used repeatedly within the plan. Karen, is it a defined, if it's development projects defined? either way, I don't think it matters. Either way, I think if you're going to adopt the Maui Tomorrow one, it should say development projects, since that's the term that's repeated throughout the plan.
So, just speaking for my proposed proposal, the preserve and protect native Hawaiian rights, I pulled that directly out of the current Kihei McKenna Community Plan, word for word, from where it says, it's not exactly the same, but preserve and protect, in the community plan it says, preserve and protect native Hawaiian rights customarily and traditionally exercised for subsistence, culture, and religious purposes in accordance with Article 12, Section 7 of the Hawaiian State Constitution and the Hawaii State Supreme Court's past opinion 79 Hawaii 425, 1995. So that came directly from the current plan, sorry. Just so you know.
But
Yes, Leila.
I apologize. Again, my continued comment is that for the two testifiers, like I said, it looks like they're exactly the same. So I'm not going to look at the other one already, because I'm trying to be respectful and look at whatever everybody gave. But I'm reading the same thing again, which is fine. But I wish maybe you could say these are duplicates, because they're, you know, maybe they're glued together from the same group. I don't know. So that's my point, is I don't want to ignore them. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't read the same thing over and over again if it is the same. So I wish somebody could say, yeah, it is actually the same. So I don't know. Do you guys see what I'm seeing? Is it the exact same thing? Which is cool. But then that way we can speak through, because I don't like look at one and not look at the other.
Looks pretty much the same. Same language, yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Brian? Kavika.
I mean, for me, when I was reading this, I mean, we specifically called out HRS, and then we wanted to acknowledge the other applicable things related to access. So I think that's why they're also included, and rightfully so. Maybe it's more of a court counsel question. While these are the most well-known, at the end, I don't know if the caveat about adding another laws and opinions as applicable would make sense. It just seems like we're boxing ourselves into only this, or we just only want to recognize this. I mean, there are other opinions, and there may be other laws and rules that make sense to support this policy, and whether or not we want to exclude those, or at least be mindful of it within this policy.
What you could do is, after permitted, you could just say either in accordance with applicable law or as required by law.
Any discussion?
Could you say what you said, but such as, and still leave these? Or i.e., I don't know, what is it? So this is examples of, so it wouldn't necessarily make us just...
Boxed in.
Yeah, like you said, boxed in, but I don't know if you can.
So then you do in accordance with applicable law, such as, and then leave the rest.
In accordance with applicable.
I don't want to be rude, but I'm having a hard time typing this because this is a very sloppily written policy. The laws being both at the beginning and the middle, or I mean at the end and the middle, is kind of confusing.
I see that, yeah.
I think I can write cleaner language with all of this and bring it back to you guys if you guys approve that later. Okay, thanks.
Okay, does, now, what would I say, table this until future time? Defer.
You could make a motion for the planning department to include the language requested by the committee in a policy for you to approve later.
Okay, so, Everett, as in,
I'll withdraw my motion.
okay,
And then we can make a new motion to request the planning department come back to us with revised language.
okay, do you want to make that motion?
First, I'm withdrawing my original motion.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then I'll make a new motion that the planning department come back at a future meeting with revised language for 2.5.1.
Second.
Awesome.
Second.
Seconded by Brian. Any discussion? Any objections to doing that? Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and have that done. Wow, okay. Okay, and the next policy is 2.5.2, which reads, new development projects shall engage in consultation with Native Hawaiian organizations, those who have genealogical and those with generational ties to the area associated with the project area, and provide evidence of this engagement to the planning department. So that's on the table right now, so we're looking at. Okay. Any discussion?
Cody? Yeah, I'd like to make a small amendment if you can. To add cultural practitioners. And the reason why I say that is like a lot of times our fishermen down in the shorelines, a lot of our Filipino, Japanese community, and a lot of times they know a lot about those areas. So I think cultural practitioners as well, I'd like to add in there.
I just a clarifying question also to staff. When we reference new development projects and the need to submit the evidence to the planning department, the way I perceive it is these are private development projects, but I don't know if the intent is overall, development. Let's say if it was a state project or a county infrastructure project, is the intent to have some pre-consultation and then submit it to whatever the appropriate county entity is. I'm just thinking it may not be the planning department. So I just throw that out there as whether or not this is maybe too narrowly focused, or it could be, new development projects shall engage, and then and provide evidence of engagement to the applicable county department agency. And we're not always consulted, as far as I'm aware. There could be a DOT project that really could have an impact to a cultural or historic site. We may not have legal purview over it, but they should be doing some type of pre-consultation with the local community as well as should be. So just an observation if we wanted to broaden the language a little bit.
So you think new development is not adequate in the policy?
I just wasn't certain if we defined what new development is, if it was specifically pertaining to.
Would you mind speaking in the mic?
Sorry, I was on stuck. I wasn't certain if, how it was specifically defined so far in the plan, and if it is a private development project, if they have to come to the planning department for, some type of planning permit, sure, we would see it, but we may not be privy or have authority over all development projects. So I guess my point was just, it may not be specifically the planning department that they'd be coming to with that engagement documentation. It could be a county agency beyond us. So.
I was wondering, Jackie, if you have any comments on that?
Thank you, Chair or Vice Chair. My thoughts are that new development projects, at least with discretionary permits, those would go through the planning department, so those would at least be covered. But there could be rare instances where a discretionary permit is not applied for. But in general, most big projects do have some sort of discretionary permit, so we should be able to catch most of them, I think.
And the edits that were made look like should cover it. By default, it likely should come to the planning department, but it could just be the relevant review agency.
Well, my apologies, Garrett, but when your mic is more than a foot away from you, I can't hear anything you're saying. So it's okay to hold it like really close and just modulate your voice. Sorry, just to point that out.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Tova.
I'd like to just draw our attention to some of the testimony from Lucienne. She makes the point that by caveating with the word new, we are removing the ability to have consultation happening in relation to development projects that exist, but something's happening on them. Which, there was testimony given earlier today about repeated actions on a certain site, so I'm wondering if that's good insight. And also she is capturing, so it's the green block one. She's also capturing some things that I thought were good about this idea. We've added in cultural practitioners for consideration, the language here being other knowledgeable individuals connected to the area. Is that side of the table not having it?
It looks like she's using language. I'm familiar with HR 13-276, so some of that language looks like it's coming from that. I know we have a lot to work with here in terms of input from testifiers and our planning department. Hopefully we can put something together. So I'm looking for a motion, some sort of motion.
I move that we accept what's on the screen currently.
All right, Everett moves to accept what's the planning department with, I think there was one change by Cody, right? Yeah. What's on the screen? Is there a second? Okay, I don't see a second.
Second.
Oh. Okay, there's a second. Cody, on discussion. Naihua.
I kind of want to continue with what Tova had said, and referring to Lucien's recommendation, and I kind of had a recommendation of mine to add the words "and current" after new, but I would recommend taking off of new and just starting with development. I would agree with what Lucienne had said, if you refer to hers.
Okay.
So she struck out new, and then just add development. Strike out new.
Okay, would you like to make that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would like to make that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, Everett, okay with Everett?
Yes.
It's a friendly amendment. Oh, Kavika.
seeing how we're the ones that's probably gonna be implementing this, Neil was specifically included because we actually have discretion to attach condition to enforce this. When you add current, that we don't know at what stage of the project that they're at, it's often likely we have very little actual teeth to make them go back, especially if they're near the end of the project. So by doing this, I'm just saying that the actual implementation of this working, it's gonna be more toward the new development side and on a case by cases on the current development side.
I withdraw my support for the friendly amendment. Because I get it. I mean, if we start a development and we're underway in this development and then this comes into law and is eventually approved as it goes through the process, it's not, it could change the whole plan, it could change the, require us to rip things out. So with that, in that light, I get your concern.
I mean, I support the intent of what we're doing. I'm just trying to be practical about when we actually get to doing this, what the reality is gonna be.
Thank you.
Okay, so the maker of the motion withdraws the support of the friendly amendment. So the word new stays in, Leila.
Yeah, I withdraw my friendly amendment too.
There's a withdrawal, another withdrawal. The bank's gonna be empty soon. Withdrawing. Yeah. Okay, so new is back in? Okay. Okay, all right, more discussion? And any more friendly amendments?
Would it be friendly to add in this terminology about knowledgeable individuals, either instead of or in addition to cultural practitioners? I just worry that if the point is to really capture knowledge, there might be some people who are really active in the area who would never self-identify as cultural practitioners. And so then you're going to miss out on their feedback. Like the example of the fisherman that was given, they may or may not be self-titling. So Everett, how do you feel about the language of knowledgeable, other knowledgeable individuals connected or associated?
I'm okay with it. It sounds, yeah, I'm fine with it. Sounds rather vague to me, and I don't know if we need to say it because anybody who speaks, you know, you're going to be listening to everybody.
Okay, that's a friendly amendment, and Everett is cool with it. Okay. Further discussion? Okay, what do we have? New development projects shall engage in consultation with Native Hawaiian organizations, those who have genealogical, those with generational ties, culture practitioners, and knowledgeable individuals connected or associated with the project area. Oh, you're not finished yet?
Sorry.
Everett?
I just want to point out that we spent 35 minutes going through 2 points. And I don't know if we've really made much of a difference in the 2 things that we spent 35 minutes going through. Just sharing my observation.
Thank you. So noted. I guess we're in a 5-mile-per-hour speed zone right now. Need to get up. Maybe get up to speed. I think part of it is we're looking at this new stuff that came in, and so that I think that's kind of slowing maybe the discussion down as folks are maybe seeing if they can work with some of the new testimony that came in that they hadn't seen before. So I know it's slowing us down a little bit. Okay, so Karen, are we done? Okay, everybody read that. Can everybody see that?
New development projects shall engage in consultation with Native Hawaiian organizations, those who have genealogical. Is it and is in there? Or, Karen, can you please read it?
New development projects shall engage in consultation with Native Hawaiian organizations, those who have genealogical, those who have generational ties, cultural practitioners, and knowledgeable individuals connected or associated with the project area, and provide evidence of this engagement to the appropriate reviewing agencies. All add ties.
Okay, that's the cake so far. Any more ingredients to add to the cake? All right. Okay. Okay, Everett made the motion. It was seconded by, who seconded it? Cody seconded it. Doesn't seem like there's any further discussion. Any objections to adopting it, this language? Seeing none, so be it. Okay. Okay, 2.5.3, identify, preserve, protect, and restore significant wahikupuna and historic properties in South Maui. That's a policy.
I move we accept this since it's required by law under SHPD. The SHPD is responsible for requiring the identification, preservation, and protection of archaeological properties.
Okay, moved by Everett. Do you accept this language? Is there a second? Okay, Brian seconds it. Discussion. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I want to recommend removing the word significant, and the reason being is because we will consider all of them if we find them, because that's what Auntie Claire said too, right? Yeah. So like you cannot only identify some and then maybe not purposely forget others, but if we remove significant, then we take care as much as we can that we find, but not just the ones and whoever would deem what is significant. Maybe something is insignificant to somebody else, but very important to me, so just remove the word significant.
Oh, Kavika and then Everett. Sorry, Kavika has had.
I would recommend moving significant in front of historic. And the reason being significant is important in this statement and attached to historic properties because currently, while we are going through amendment of what historic property means, it currently means basically anything over 50 years in age, which we all know, not everything over 50 years in age is significant and deserves to be restored or preserved. So the word significant is very applicable to historic property because it signifies those that are deemed and evaluated as eligible for listing or to be considered for preservation or on a register.
Okay, that would make Wayne a historic property.
And significant.
Just thinking that.
Okay, thank you for that input. Okay, discussion. Lehua, you want to make a friendly amendment, was that to remove significant?
I would take the recommendation of Kavika by putting significant in front of historic properties.
Okay. Okay, I see. Identify, preserve, protect, and restore wahikupuna and significant historic properties in South Maui. That's your friendly amendment. Everett, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Randall's okay with that. Okay. Further discussion? Oh, sorry. Brandon, why'd you nod your head?
Easy confusion. they look like. I actually look like a lot.
Sorry. Sorry, Brian. Forgive me. Okay. Any objections to adopting this language? Seeing none? Okay. we're good with 2.5.3, 2.5.4. Protect public view corridors and scenic vistas, including traditional significant views and views to and from the shoreline.
So moved.
Who said that? Everett. Everett moved. Motion to accept the policy as written. And who made the second? Who made the second? Discussion?
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Yes, of course.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add dark skies after protect.
Didn't we cover dark skies a few weeks ago?
I think it was just in the overall intro.
Okay, accept.
Okay, and make a motion accepts a friendly amendment. Did Lehua? Do you have a comment?
No.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, accept.
okay, thank you. It's like playing ping pong. Any more discussion on this policy? Any objections to accepting the policy as it's currently written on the screen? Seeing none? Okay. That we're good. Okay, next one, 2.5.5. Promote awareness and elevate the importance of Wahikupuna and historic sites in South Maui by installing signs and markers that include information about the sites and a code of conduct to prevent damage or desecration. Okay, members, any discussion on this one? Lehua.
I just wanted to add the words at the end after desecration or overuse of the area.
Or overuse of the area. Okay, it's up there.
I second that.
Oh, we don't.
That's a motion. Did you put that on the floor?
We don't have a motion yet.
No motion, I just made a discussion.
You want to make a motion? Does somebody want to make a motion? Oh, who will make a motion to accept the language to 2.5.5 as it is written
Yes.
on the screen? Is there a second?
I second.
Jennifer seconds it? Okay, discussion?
Yeah.
Cody?
I just was wondering, maybe Connie can answer. Who's going to enforce the code of conduct?
Is anyone from the county here? Oh.
My guess is just suggestions. It's not law, right? So for it to be enforceable, it would have to be a law that's passed by council.
Well, they have codes of conduct signs that they've used in Oahu, and I know that some of them were enforced by the LNR, so maybe that could be a possible route. What do you think?
Well, you could attach an action to that in the action implementation section. Bernie?
So I do the Aupua sign project. We thought about putting code of conduct signs in the South Maui parks, all the way up to Malaya. We did not do that because there's a lot of signs in the parks, like majorly sign pollution from my perception. So, but the parks have code of conduct, but you cannot read them. It's smaller than a handicap sign on the kiawe tree, right? So we'll figure it out, I think. And what corporate counsel said, you know, we'll figure it out, because there's a lot of signage out there, and in the parks would be a good place to have it, and in certain places, but that was a challenging decision not to put them, because it was to sign pollution in all the parks.
Okay, thank you, Vernon. Any further discussion on this policy? Okay, Mike Moran.
Yeah, I would just concur with what Vernon is saying. I can't remember where, but I read a study one time that they said that individuals will only read so many signs, then they just disregard them. They thought the number was probably 5, and if there were more than 5, people would just disregard the whole thing. So I think that backs up what Vernon is saying. Too many signs, then people just pay no attention to any of the signs. So yeah, there is sign pollution, can be a hazard. Thank you.
Sign blindness is a terrible thing to have. Any further discussion? Oh, hi, Tova, yes.
Hi. So if there's concern about too much signage and this entire policy is about having more signs, we still good with it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I just say we're gonna figure it out. Maybe in between Kamoli 1, Kamoli 2 or something where we're no more signs. We're gonna figure it out, because I think code of conduct is good, you know, and I can see this ending up in the videos before you land at Kalui Airport, code of conduct. So it's not just gonna be signs, it's gonna be educational videos through tourism authority and the tourist guides kind of thing, hotel, airlines.
Everett?
Continue what Vernon said, a lot of times SHPD require signs in terms of the preservation plan. And I think having that information out helps people respect the features.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, any objections adopting this language? Seeing none, we're good with this one. Okay, next one, 2.5.6. Ensure existing government trails are preserved during the discretionary review and entitlement process, including changes in zoning, community plan amendments, state land use district boundary amendments, the review of environmental assessments and impact statements, development in the special management area and shoreline area, and the review of subdivisions by consulting with the Department of Land and Natural Resource Na'alehele program and other government agencies as appropriate.
So moved.
Okay, Everett moved to adopt the policy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jen seconds the motion. Okay, we're open to discussion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Anyone propose amendments? Going once. Going twice. Brian.
I just have a quick question for the planning department. Because one of the testimonies says that there's too much language and that it should be tightened up. Is there a reason that all of that's in there?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So that's actually an excellent question because discretionary reviews have to be consistent with the community plans. And so we're actually saying something that's already has to be done by including this whole list of changes of zoning, community plan amendments and so forth, and the SMA and subdivisions. You could take that all out because it has to be consistent with the community plan anyway. So.
Jackie, what would you strike?
So I would just say, ensure existing government trails are preserved during the discretionary review and entitlement process by consulting with the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
I agree with Jackie that it is required. The language was included to make everyone aware that they should be doing it because it's not always done for changes in zoning. There's trails that have been not acknowledged in some of those processes when they should have been acknowledged because it was like it's going to happen later in the process. So it's saying do it at every step in the process. That is the reason it's included.
So it's more of a reminder.
Yes, it's a reminder.
It's a reminder.
There is also testimony from Maui tomorrow on this, or whoever.
Okay, thank you, Long Range Planning Division. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, any objections to adopting this language? Okay, seeing none. So we're good with 2.5.6. Next, 2.5.7. Healthy, mature trees, particularly native trees, must be preserved and incorporated into the landscape plans of subdivisions, roads, and any other construction or development. If they must be removed for safety, then agreements shall be made to offer wood or other useful elements to Hawaiian cultural practitioners or organizations from the particular area. Any discussion? What?
I submitted written testimonial information, so everybody should have a handout rather than you trying to explain it. So if you can refer to, I guess, the last page of what I provided, and it states what I would recommend. And after you read it, I'd like to make a recommendation to include the changes that the planning department had done. It was just striking 2 words. So I'll leave it at that. So it's on the last page of what I submitted, and they printed it out, was distributed to everyone. So it'd be on the page, technically page 51 of the handout that was provided. I just added a few words, but it's easier just to read it.
Okay, so Karen is putting up, later was suggested changes to the text. There has been a motion yet. You ready to make a motion on that?
Okay, and then Karen, you can include what you guys had suggested, taking out should and add shall. So on their handout, they had struck out 2 words.
Yeah, it's up there, I see it.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, it's there.
Okay, I think Karen has it all up there on the screen as well.
Yep.
So, do you want to make a motion on that?
Yes, I'd like to, find a particular area first. Yeah, if I can explain the particular area first is Key South Maui people first, and then if get artisans elsewhere, then if nobody in Key South Maui is going to take it, then we can quote somebody, but, so yes. I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, motion by Lehua and seconded by Brian. All right, discussion. Everett.
Pretty much every subdivision we've ever developed, every housing community we've ever developed, either Hawaiian Homelands or Kamaoli Heights or Kamauli Elementary School had healthy, mature trees on it. And most of the time they're not willies, kiawe trees that just are like straws in the soil, sucking the water out of them. So I don't think this is a good policy. I think the native trees should be preserved, but there are a lot of healthy, mature trees that are really bad for the environment. And with this language, you basically, no property on Maui would be developed.
Would you like to propose an amendment to the language?
I propose that healthy native trees shall be preserved and incorporated into landscape plans, subdivisions, roads, and other construction or developments. If removed, I would strike for safety, and then pick up what we have up on the screen.
Can you say it again? Just say it again.
Excuse me?
Say it again. Healthy native trees.
Can you repeat it again?
Healthy native trees shall be preserved and incorporated into landscape plans for subdivision, roads, and other construction or development. And then in the next sentence,
Right, she was just catching up. Okay, next.
the next sentence, if removed, and then no further changes.
Okay, that would be,
Oh, yes, if removed, strike for safety.
okay, is that your friendly amendment?
Is that, yes,
Yes.
you made a motion, yes. Friendly amendment.
Okay, is that okay, Lehua?
Accept as friendly.
She's very friendly about accepting a friendly amendment.
I will as well.
And Brian's good as a seconder. Okay. Any more amendments? Take a good look. Karen, would you mind reading it? Or Kavika, anyone?
Healthy native trees shall be preserved and incorporated into the landscape plans of subdivision, roads, and any other construction or development. If removed, then agreement shall be made to offer wood or other useful elements to Hawaiian cultural practitioners or nonprofit organizations or artisans from the particular area first for sustainable cultural use.
Kavika, you raising your hand?
Sorry, I'm gonna drag you guys on this one for a little bit. I just feel like the second sentence sort of invalidates the first one. I mean, if we're going that route, we should just strike the second sentence.
I changed must to shall. And I think I would agree with you if must was in the first sentence.
it seems that the second sentence is currently written, put the discretion entirely on the developer to freely choose whether or not the tree stays or is removed.
That wasn't the intent, but the intent is if there's a native tree in a road right away, that needs to come out for that use, then I think it comes out. Now, what we could do is say any healthy native tree, or maybe add it to the, maybe add it, or insert a new sentence. For each healthy native tree removed, X number of the same species needs to be incorporated in the project. I mean, we're looking at one project where we'd be removing willy-willy trees. I think it was, the original plan was to remove 13 willy-willy trees, and we've got 100, more than 100 actually, 200 willy-willy trees in nurseries that we're going to use on that property.
I understand what you're saying. I think we can strike for safety, but if you leave, they must be. That implies that you need to have some rationale, justification on why they're being removed, which I don't think need to be provided as currently written.
So if it says must, what's the determination process? As determined by the arborist committee, or determined by public works, or determined by planning department? Who makes that determination?
I think if they must be removed, there needs to be some justification, if asked for, to be provided, as opposed to if removed just seems a lot more arbitrary. But I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking. I think Corp Counsel, thankfully you guys are here tonight, might be able to weigh in more appropriately on the actual intent of the language.
This is ultimately a policy decision. I don't want to weigh in too much on this. But I think his suggestion is keeping in the language if they must be removed, so that there's some reason for the removal provided. Which doesn't sound different from what you're saying.
Okay. Change shall back to must.
No, it's the second sentence.
In the second sentence. Okay.
That's fine.
That's your friendly amendment? Lehua?
I'll stop.
You okay with that friendly amendment?
Yeah, I'm good.
Cody?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kokika. I mean, I would keep the, my opinion is I would keep the for safety in there. So if they must be removed for safety, that gives a reason. Yeah. Just,
So you want to keep for safety in there?
Yeah.
That's a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to ask the maker of the motion. Will you accept that?
I'll accept that.
Okay, who accepts that? To keep for safety in there?
If we keep safety in there, isn't that really making that the one reason that they can remove it? And I think to Everett's point, that if you're going to be building a road and the tree right there, that it would make sense to take the tree out. And that's not a safety issue.
obstructing and safety.
I don't know, I mean, if you're building a Hawaiian Homelands homestead, you can't remove any trees unless for safety. If you're building a school, you can't remove any trees.
My recommendation, and I understand what you're saying, Everett, so it would be like, and this is just really simple, it must be removed for justified reasons. Is that too broad? But for justified reasons, which could be, because you need that space, but I don't know, is that too broad, Keola, to say for justified reasons? Because then what is justified, right?
That's going to be very subjective. Maybe healthy native trees should be preserved and incorporated into the landscape. If they must be removed, then agreements, you know. But yeah, if this policy is as is with, and if there's a tree where you want to put the road, then you're going to have to put the road around the tree. That's going to increase the cost of the project, or maybe the project doesn't happen, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, because right now that's your motion, because you're okay with the friendly amendment type of
Okay,
suggestion.
so no, we have to make it like for, you know, I get what Everett's saying, so it must be removed. Safety, I'll take any suggestions on the floor. Must be removed for safety. Okay, cannot do justified or other justified reasons. Or any other reasons that may inhibit the development. Again, this sounds like justified. Yeah, that.
They'll all be removed.
Yeah.
We just strike for safety.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll strike for safety.
Okay, yeah, not accepting a friendly amendment.
No, it's not right.
Okay, make your motion.
It is my motion right there.
It is your motion, and
Yeah.
so you accept it, but now you're not accepting the safety part.
No, because we're just striking it. So,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Kapika recommended just for, and I would agree.
Okay, are we there? Vernon?
Just for safety measures, can we include see the arborist for further review? I want to throw the arborist in this. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're kind of stuck on. I get what Kavika's saying and where we're trying to go, but for stuck on the safety thing. So for me, as a safety card, is it okay to like have the arborist in this language? Check.
So when projects are being developed, the landscaping is subject to 1936B of the zoning code, and there's criteria for when things are referred to the arborist committee, like for when they want to request an exception to the code, but that's the time. And so, you know, typically we just look at the landscaping in 1936B of the zoning code. And yeah, like the arborist committee is only for special exceptions.
Anyone else? Okay. Okay, are there any objections to accepting? Somebody? Oh, Cody.
So like I'm thinking about like native endemic trees. If there must be removed, consult native Hawaiian organizations, then agreements shall be made to provide Hufferwood. You know what I mean? Like if you're dealing with like trees that could be potentially endangered or could have some sort of cultural significant value, I think it would be good to have some sort of consultation involved, at least before, just anybody decides to, or the developer just decides to get rid of them. So, if they must be removed, maybe have consultation with NHOs before removal. Then agreements shall be made to, and then so forth.
So I guess we have a friendly amendment.
You have to add in a word in order to proceed, or that's enough language? Because if it is, I'm fine with this right here.
Brian has a question.
So I understand the concept and I agree with it. What happens if the Native Hawaiian organization says, no, you can't remove the tree because I want to put the, and Everett says, well, but I need to put my road here.
I think the important thing is that there's someone at the table, there is a consultation, that there's a discussion when it comes to endemic trees. Being that we're in the Kuaina area where South Maui, a lot of our endemic trees are endangered. Most of our endemic trees here are endangered, so not so much native trees, but when you're dealing with endemic trees like Willy Willy, things like that, then I think they deserve a good consultation, and I believe they'll be very respectful to Kanakaʻiwi to be at the table for those kinds of discussions.
Are you asking for consultation before they're removed, or you're saying, okay, we agree these trees are going to be removed, now we're consulting on what to do with them?
No.
Before they remove? Okay. Okay, just.
Can I ask a question, if anybody knows, for the trees, can they be replanted somewhere? Depends how big. I mean, that could be an option, is rather than just go straight to remove them, but to see if we can move them.
Yeah, and I think that all could be part of the consultation. Yeah.
So they must be removed. Or how about, first consult with Native Hawaiian organizations before considering it to be removed? Is that, because that's what you're saying, yeah? Yeah. Talk first, then decide what to do. Rather than decide what to do, then talk. Because that's what it seems like, yeah? Okay, Karen.
That's a good Native. Can you repeat that?
Yes, okay. I think it's to first consult with Native Hawaiian organizations prior to considering removal. Does that sound okay?
Prior to removal.
Prior to removal, yes.
And that kind of just refers mostly to the endemic trees, not necessarily the native trees, because the endemic trees are the ones that are endangered, yeah. So it'll kind of prioritize the consultation with NHOs for endemic trees.
Clarifying question, if something were endangered, would it not be caught in an EIS as a completely separate process from this?
Not all projects would have EISs or EAs. I think we all are in agreement on the intent. I think this comes pretty close to capturing it.
Okay, Will, you good with that?
Yes, I accept whatever friendly motions and what I see here. Let's do it.
Sorry. Okay, I think
Can
we're
I just
good.
say one thing? Sorry to be difficult. The way it reads right now does basically say that the decision is going to be to remove still. You're just consulting before the tree is removed. So we're going to talk about it with Native Hawaiians to say we're going to remove this tree. Because it just says prior to removal.
Prior to possible removal.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry, Evan, it's like still saying.
Karen will be dreaming about this tonight. Okay, I think we pretty much wordsmithed this. Are we good? Are there any objections to accepting this language? Okay. All right. It is 8:12. We haven't had a second break. Can we just, yes, okay. Let's go for it. So what's up next? Oh, 2.5.8. Use traditional ecological knowledge in coordination with cultural practitioners and in consultation with those who have generational knowledge, ike kupuna, in the design of new development and redevelopment projects and environmental restoration efforts. Okay, that's on the table.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Everett to accept this and seconded by Brian. Discussion? Discussion, members? Okay, this language must be perfect. Okay, if there aren't any objections, we'll accept this policy. Okay, moving on to 2.5.9, encourage volunteer activities, including volunteerism that increases awareness of Wahikupuna and South Maui's history. I think there were some recommendations for amendments on that one. I think Laihua had some. And
Proceed to make a motion?
yes, please, Laihua.
Okay. I would like to actually make a motion to remove the word volunteerism. And I had put in red below the verbiage that I'd like to recommend. Encourage trained volunteers to help increase cultural awareness, cultural appreciation, and cultural respect of Waihi Kupuna and South Maui's history at the discretion of area cultural practitioners and Ike Kupuna. That's my recommendation.
Is that your motion?
Yes, sorry, that's my motion.
I second it.
Oh, sorry. It's between you and Mike, there's a tie.
You can have it, Mike.
Okay, Mike seconded the motion.
Age before beauty.
Yeah. Aw.
Obviously, I don't look like you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, discussion on this one? Oh, there. Toba.
Just a question for the planning department. I'm having trouble imagining where this policy as written would come into play.
This actually work with 2.55. 2.55.
We're on 2.5.9. Motion was made by seconded by Mike. And we're in discussion on that motion, that language here. Any further discussion? Any objections to accepting this language? Okay, so be it. Okay, let's go on to the next one. 2.5.10, right?
Yep.
Kavika, could you read that out, please? Take turns reading.
I think 2.5.10, yeah, we needed to bifurcate it and separate it out because it's saying two different things. The one you're talking within the property, that's one policy. And then the second one you're talking about, the project area expands within the boundaries beyond the if the project area expands beyond the boundaries, but within the same existing parcel, then you can do it.
Okay.
That's why you gotta separate it out.
Are we looking just at what's in the draft plan right now? The recommendation that
When Waihi Kupuna or certain properties are located within the project area, require restoration or preservation of the sites and require mitigation of the potential adverse impacts on cultural resources during construction, including site avoidance, adequate buffer areas, and interpretation. Particular attention should be directed towards the southern areas and shoreline of the planning region.
okay, and you said something about that needs to be bifurcated? Well, the next one down is, it's, pardon me?
It's the second one's adjacent, it would be adjacent from 10 to 7 miles.
No, I think we did, right?
The next one down in red?
So the next one in red, though when Waikapuna or other historic properties are located adjacent to a project area, require mitigation of potential adverse impacts on cultural resources during construction, including site avoidance and adequate buffer areas. Particular attention should be directed toward the southern areas and shoreline of the planning region. So the first one is to require restoration and preservation if it's on the parcel. The second one is if you're next to something that's important, but it's not on your parcel, you should still avoid impacting it. So that's why we separated it into two different policies.
Okay. So then that would be given whatever policy number you assign to it. Ever.
Why is as directed by SHPD and other applicable laws and regulations struck? They're the ones that, under state law, are responsible for it.
You can leave it in
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that under 2510, we add that back in, and that's the motion. As currently, with the exception of the misspelling.
Decision, that's what I have. I have decision. As you get older, you have decision.
So I move that we approve that.
Okay, motion by Everett, seconded by, who hasn't seconded anything yet? Tova? Discussion?
Yeah.
Oh. Cody.
So I like the one that was amended by the Maui tomorrow. It's a little bit more language in it, but basically the Maui County archaeologist, and then particular attention should be directed towards southern areas, natural gulches, wetlands.
You want to make that?
Oh yeah, friendly amendment on that.
Thank you.
I'm good with the Maui County archaeologist portion, but the other portion, I think, I don't think that relates to historic properties. I think they're valuable, but I don't think it has a place in this particular policy. I think we picked it up last week, or we'll pick it up when we get back to the gulches, wetlands discussion. But they're not. I think these are more built structures as opposed to.
So Edward, you're good with some of what he suggested as a friendly amendment, but not all?
We're kind of talking right now, but I'm good with the first one, but the second one I think belongs in the wetlands, gulches, the conversation we had, I think it was last week, and I think we are due to continue that discussion.
Well, I was wanting to include that because when I think of Waikupuna, I think of these waterways as well as Waikupuna, so it's one reason why I kind of acknowledge that, but I'm open to what others have to say about that.
Same here. Yeah, it doesn't sound like either one of us. I mean, I think it's going to be included in that other section, so I don't feel that strongly about not including it. Like Cody, I'm curious what how others feel about it.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody, for their thoughts. I would say when it comes to mentioning these type of issues, the more the merrier. So I would kind of lean a little bit more about mentioning it than not having it.
Okay. Kavika.
My biggest concern with this policy is that it should immediately be moved and follow 2.52. Or you need to involve some consultation language, because 2.52 talks about consulting with knowledgeable individuals prior to new development happening for the purpose of identifying sites. Here, we're talking about we have sites, but there's no consultation process about working with those knowledgeable individuals on appropriate treatment and mitigation. So it needs to be moved to follow 2.52, or we need to add that language in this particular policy.
So you're saying combine 2.5 with 2.52?
Not combine. Follow it so that sequentially, one talks about consulting ahead of time for the purpose of identifying. Here, we have things. We don't need to identify. We know we have things, but we need that consultation component about what is appropriate treatment and mitigation now that we know that we have something.
Isn't that's required by SHPD as part of their review process?
Yes, but how we specifically call out knowledgeable individuals or cultural practitioners, and this is for the cultural people, it would make a lot of sense to have that particular individuals or particular terms included here. Maui County archaeologists, SHPD, they're government agencies that oftentimes, like us, we try to act in the best interest of what we understand rules and policies to be, and we do our best. But if we're trying to strengthen efforts and make it less complicated and more clear, we should probably involve that explicitly here.
Okay, let's insert then after, before as directed, in consultation with Native Hawaiian organizations.
Cultural practitioners and any rules, after my archaeologists would fit. It's just the difference is, SHPD and the Maui archaeologist may have some directing capacity. That's not true of cultural practitioner. That's why I'm saying, but the consultation part is a necessity for this. But there's a difference in actual doing.
Okay.
Quick question, are we saying that they have to go to each of these different divisions and archaeologists and they have to go to all of them, or is it you go to one, you go to two?
Well, I think that's why we struck SHPD and didn't have the Maui County archaeologist, because that is part of the law and the process already, so you can't circumvent that already. The more important aspect that was missing was the consultation process with the NHOs or the cultural practitioner or the generational families that actually have the knowledge that now that we have something here, what is the appropriate treatment and or mitigation for that thing that we have. So to me, striking that, you cannot circumvent the law, that's already part of the process. But the consultation part was missing.
Everett, are you okay with your additions?
Yes. Except for my disdition again. I've got disdition.
It's bad. I can't delete the others for some reason.
Okay. Any more discussion on 2.5.10?
Vernon Kalani Powell.
So I think Kavika is where we're going, because the things are already set in place. So imagine everybody having a discussion. This is where it can get kapulu and ugly. The bottom line, you get the county archaeologist, Shipti, who will get hierarchy, cultural practitioners always going to be looked at and viewed at and vetted automatically, but this can open unnecessary can of worms. You know what I mean? Like things already in place. I just cannot. I kind of see where this kind of thing can go, and the best word I have can be kapulu. But you okay with this? I mean, it will come down to all of us, but
I think for consistency with 2.52, you kind of gotta include them. Because if you're going to open a can of worms for, if your feelings for 2.510 are what they are, then you gotta reevaluate 2.52.
We could add at the very end of the thing, but no kupulu. Yeah? But no kupulu.
One suggestion is you could take out as directed by and put in consultation with, because as directed by is already required under the law. And so I'm worried if you have as directed by cultural practitioners and Native Hawaiian organizations, it could be disagreements among those groups.
Great suggestion.
Everett, you like that?
Yes.
So I do that. Okay. Okay, let's take one more look.
We want to take out or other applicable laws and regulations since you don't consult with laws.
Thank you, Keo. Everett? Everett nods. Is in agreement.
I'm the second.
Tola, the seconder, nods. Okay. Well, I think we're pretty close now. Okay, I don't see any further discussion. Any objections to accepting 2.5.10? So be it. Okay, members, it is now 8:33. You want to do more? Two more? Wow.
Does that one need the same language that we just added in terms of consulting with?
So which one are we looking at? 2.5.11. Okay, 2.5.11.
Well, question mark, question mark. 2.5, question mark, question mark.
Okay. That's a recommendation by the planning.
Yeah.
Planning, yeah.
I move that we approve it as it's currently been.
Everett, you're making a motion?
Yes, I recommend that we approve it as it was just amended.
Okay. Moved by Everett, seconded by Brian. Tova. Yes. Do you have?
Oh, Brian second.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, any discussion? Discussion, members? Kavika?
Sorry to nitpick, but after area, then you have to add within the same parcel. I don't think you can apply this to a completely separate property owner
Yeah.
and obligate them to that. But we do have large parcels that the specific project area might be limited within a section of the parcel, but the site continues from that project area beyond, but still within the same parcel. I just don't think that you can ask somebody else to take on what you started.
I agree with you. I was interpreting this as the same parcel, just not in the project area.
That's why I think after project area, you have to add, but within the same parcel.
Perfect.
Did you want to clarify your motion?
He just did. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here.
Okay, let's put it in there. Then the same parcel. All right. Okay, this is, Everett made his own friendly amendment. Okay. Any further discussion on the not finished number one? Seeing no, without any objections? Okay, we'll accept this. And we need to give it a number because then it'll feel different from all the other ones. And we need to be inclusive. Okay, last one, tonight, 2.5.11. Protect and enhance Waikuna during the implementation of transportation projects through early consultation and engagement with those who have genealogical or generational ties to the project area, resource management agencies, and the community. Okay, 2.5.10. 11, sorry. What say ye?
It's like school state. Transportation, all public projects versus transportation projects. I'm just thinking like the high school. The roundabout in high school.
Lehua makes a motion to adopt this, seconded by Mike Moran. We're going to take a 20-minute break and then... Sorry. Okay, any discussion? Brian?
Quick question, can we clarify who the community is? Because that's a pretty broad term.
It should be the community. Yes, who can clarify that for Brian?
Have a comment on that?
Oh, Lehua.
But would it be open to anybody that wants to testify, or are you only saying like the community is just people from Kihei, or South Maui side? So community is broader, but I mean, you're not gonna have too much people from the outside, but maybe, and they have great insight.
Yeah.
So.
It can be defined many different ways.
Yeah, so.
Community.
It's broad. I don't want to make it restrictive. So, but that's me.
And what were your concerns, Brian?
No, I was just trying to understand, because it doesn't really designate who you're going to, because a community could be whatever you want to classify it. So are we empowering individuals that to define their own community? So it seems way too broad to me.
Do you have some more limiting language?
Yeah.
No.
You have a suggestion?
How about and community members?
And community members, Toba, that's on the floor.
Sure. Or I was just thinking, I mean, and the community, that can just mean that you put an announcement in the paper and the community has some forum where they can communicate. I guess I'm not feeling locked in by having that tacked on. It doesn't feel like a negative thing's gonna come from that.
I guess maybe what you guys is I don't understand, like, we go to the community, they give comments, what happens? Is there, like, to your point, is there a forum? How does it get addressed? Do you just say thanks for giving your feedback and have a nice day? Like, how does that get incorporated? Because it just seems like it's a large entity that could have tons of varying opinions. So what do you do with all those opinions if they don't jive together? Like, so it's for me, it's more trying to understand how it works. So I don't really have an objection to the word, I just don't understand how it works.
We're talking about public works projects here. So if it's transportation projects are usually government projects, so they're subject to an EA process. So that's a public hearing process. So it would be before the Planning Commission or before the Department of Transportation. There would be a government agency that people would be providing their input before.
Okay.
Thank you, Everett. Any further discussion? Any objections to adopting this? Okay, so we're good with 2.511. Okay, we're going to stop. Oh, Everett.
I've got another motion. I move that we instruct Jackie to notify Rob in his absence there's been a coup, and we've elected Daniel as chair.
I can't be chair.
I'm just joking.
I know you can't.
I'm just joking. But I think we should send him the email just for the fun of it.
Look, the difference between Rob and I is a profound difference. He is high tech and I am low tech.
But you have a sense of humor.
I am low tech to me. That's how low tech. Okay, so we're not done yet. We're finished with B for today. We still have agenda item C, other committee business. Is there other committee business?
It's just a header. There's no business.
Are there any public testifiers who want? Okay, so our next meeting is scheduled for February 15th, and that's going to be at the TEA Community Center. Okay, so we are now going to adjourn this meeting. You want to hit the gavel? Go ahead. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.